What's going on YouTube? In today's video, we're going to be checking out some of my favorite accessories for the ROG Ally. Now, these are just my recommendations. These are not the only accessories out there. There's tons of accessories for you guys to pick from, but these are the ones that I've used since I've had the Ally. Now, I've had my fair share of issues with the Ally, just like a lot of people out there, but it's still been a pretty solid device, just like all the other 7840U devices out there right now. Now, trust me guys, we didn't have this kind of power in our hands back in the day, but now you pretty much have a PC in your hands. If you've got an Ally, you want to stick around throughout this video.
Okay, I'll start things off with the ModCase. Now, this is a protective case and a travel cover kit that's been designed specifically for the Ally. It's super lightweight and minimal, and also perfect for keeping the device protected at all times. Unfortunately, it only comes in one color, which is white, so if you wanted a different color, you're kind of out of luck here. It comes in two different parts. First off, there's the protective case, which is a very tight fit on the Ally, almost to the point where it's a bit hard to get it on. It's made from rubber as well, which provides a much better grip for the Ally, considering it has some really bad ergonomics. The case also comes with a built-in kickstand, which is really nice since the Ally doesn't come with one. The stand is very minimal and barely noticeable, but it adds so much value for those times when you just want to set the Ally down in upright mode. It also has two miniature holes built right into it for attaching straps that also come with it. There's two of those straps at different lengths, but they pretty much work in the same exact way. They can be used to hold a small power bank if, for example, you're a gamer who wants more battery life on the go. All over the case, you'll find precise cutouts matching all the openings and I/O ports on the Ally, which I thought was very thoughtful. The second part of the kit is a hard shell travel cover that only works when you have the protective case equipped on the Ally. This piece was designed to keep the screen, the buttons, and the joysticks protected whenever the Ally is not in use. Around the middle area on the inside of the travel cover, there's some soft foam there to protect the display of the Ally. There's also spacious cutouts that have been built right into it for the protection of the joysticks. One of my favorite things about the travel cover is how fast and seamlessly it attaches to the case. There's no fiddling around with it just to try to get it on. Just clip on from the top side and then soft close at the bottom. One thing to note about the ModCase is that once it's fully on, it covers the whole device except some part of the bumpers and the back buttons. JSaw made something like this in the past for the Steam Deck, and it was definitely one of the best things that I picked up then. This version has also been great for the Ally, so if you're looking for a minimal case that adds a little weight to your Ally and still provides a decent amount of protection, a kickstand, and some modularity, then the ModCase is definitely worth checking out. This one is another impressive product from JSaw, which mainly works great for adding better grips to the Ally. The kit comes with thumbstick caps, covers for the XG mobile port, sticky rubber pieces meant to add more depth to the back buttons, and two white silicone grips to be installed on both handles of the Ally. Every piece from the kit seems to have been made from rubber and either improve ergonomics or add some sort of protection. They're also very easy to install, with each one being a very tight and a snug fit on the Ally wherever they're installed. The thumbstick caps, the back button attachments, and the silicone grips, once installed, will definitely improve the overall ergonomics of the Ally. So if that is an issue for you, then this kit could really come in clutch. Now, if you find that those first two options didn't excite you enough, then this next one just might. It's a transparent backplate with a hint of RGB, which has been designed specifically for the Ally. Replacing the original backplate on the Ally is one of the easiest DIY work you can do, so installing this does not take very long at all. Each package also comes with tools you'll need to complete the replacement process, which makes it very convenient. When looking at both side plates side by side, you'll notice a few other differences besides the fact that one is completely see-through while the other one isn't. You'll also notice that there's a USB-C port and a black button on the transparent backplate, and none of that on the original. The USB-C port opening is for charging the RGB system, which has to be attached to the case during installation, and the black button is for turning the RGB module on or off. On the back, they look very similar to each other, with the main difference being the design used for the right air vents being a generic design instead of the ROG symbol. Besides those things, everything else pretty much looks the same between the two of them. The RGB portion is embedded into a separate module and needs to be installed with the backplate alongside a few other pieces. The default text and design that lights up when the RGB is activated can be modified quickly and easily using the provided pre-made or customizable pieces. Once completely installed, the backplate will transform the entire look of the Ally, giving it more of a cyberpunk aesthetic. Keep in mind that there isn't a lot of RGB lights on the backplate, but personally, I think that there's just enough. Something to note about the transparent backplate too is that it doesn't play nice alongside the ModCase, so if you plan on combining both of these accessories together, I'm sorry you will be disappointed. Frankly, I don't see why anyone would want to do that since the case just ends up covering the see-through design. The silicone grips, on the other hand, can be installed alongside the transparent backplates on the Ally. The next items on my list here can help in addressing one of the biggest issues with using the Ally on the go, and that is battery life. By default, the Ally requires a minimum of 65 watts of power delivery for fast charging, which in turn means you'll want a power bank with a minimum of 65 watt power delivery through a single port in order to get the most out of your Ally when charging from a brick. You're also going to need a 65 watt minimum to access the 30 watt turbo gaming mode when plugged in, so any power bank that supplies less than that will not pair very well for high performance gaming on the Ally. The 65 watt power bank I like to recommend for the Ally is this purpose-built one from JSOX. It really works well with the ModCase as well. One of the main reasons it works well with it is because it has a built-in USB-C cable for connecting to the Ally whenever you have it strapped to the back. The bright orange cable can be stored away very quickly into a special port which doesn't supply or receive power. It's literally just a way to store the cable's USB-C connector to prevent damage. Besides the USB-C port, there's one more on the bank which allows both power input and output. There's also one USB Type-A port on it, which comes in really handy in certain situations. Just like most other power banks, there's a bit of weight to this one as well, but also in comparison to a lot of others, this one isn't as bad in terms of size and weight. It's got a maximum battery capacity of 20,000 milliampere hours, which isn't a lot, but can add up to an additional hour and a half of playing in turbo mode. If you want even more battery time on the go, you can always play at a lower wattage or pick up something with more battery capacity. If you find that the latter is you, then my other recommendation is this 140 watt power bank with 27,000 milliampere hour of battery capacity. It's not tons more than the first one, but I still get about 30 more minutes of game time with it in turbo mode. There's also a higher total power output with this one, meaning it can charge other devices at the same time as it supplies the maximum charging power the Ally needs to operate in turbo mode. Both power banks offer pass-through charging, which is great if you want the power bank to be able to charge itself at the same time as it charges the Ally. As for ports on the 140 watt bank, there's two USB Type-C ports and a single USB Type-A port. Both will work perfectly well with the Ally, but if you want something for multi-charging while still getting the best performance out of your Ally, then the 140 watts is a better choice. But if you want something that's a bit lighter and also designed for mobile use, then the 65 watt is a no-brainer choice. As with the power banks requiring a minimum of 65 watt for fast charging the Ally, you also want a USB-C charging adapter that can support a minimum total of 65 watt power output through a single port. Now, you can always just use the power adapter that comes supplied with your Ally for all of your charging needs, but if you want a more versatile, functional, and even portable charger, then you might want to check out one of these too. My favorite one to use with the Ally is this cool little robot-inspired USB-C charger from Ugreen. It's super compact and lightweight, which also makes it very easy to travel with. On one side, it's got two USB Type-C ports and a single Type-A port. And on the opposite side, there's a robot feet which can be taken off to reveal the two prongs for plugging it in. The ports on it can all be used at the same time or just a single one at a time. When multiple ports are in use, the total power output from each port is usually less than the max they can provide when used alone. This means getting the full 65 watt from this charger for the Ally will require using a single port at a time. As a nice added bonus to the versatility of this charger, there's also a little LED display on the front side that switches between 3 different facial expressions to display the charging status of the device. Another great USB-C charger to consider is this one with a total power output of 140 watts. The 140 watt adapter has a similar build and weight to the original Ally charger, but with it, you have a lot more power and ports for multi-charging. Unlike the 65-watt charger, this can also charge the Ally at full speed while another device is also getting a fast charge, like say your smartphone or another accessory for example. The maximum amount of power that the Ally can accept is 100 watts, so picking up a long and a durable cable that supports that power delivery amount can be very useful. I love these 6.6 feet braided cables from an Amazon brand, which has been great to use alongside the Ally as well as my other handhelds. Considering how bad the battery life on Ally is, having a long cable that allows you to play while connected to the power without feeling tethered down is a huge plus. The braided nature means it's also much more durable than the product used in making the charging cable sent out with the Ally. It's also great to pair with any of the power adapters from earlier and will work flawlessly with them. The charger that comes with the Ally also cannot be detached, so it's a bit bulkier to transport than something like this, which can always be separated from the adapter for easier transportation. As an added bonus, there is an indicator light on one end that turns on to show the power status of the cable. Another thoughtful design choice is the addition of a strap, which comes in very handy for packing up the cable neatly. The next item here pairs with the 100-watt USB-C cable to make charging on the Ally much better and much safer. Now, if you're like me, you probably hate when the charging port on the handheld is located on the top, which usually ends up placing a lot of bend stress on the USB-C cable during charging. If you find that this bothers you as well, then this angled USB-C adapter is the perfect fix for that problem. It's essentially a male to female adapter that allows you to create a rigid right angled USB-C connector just by attaching it to one end of the USB-C cable. This allows you to connect the angled side to the Ally, getting rid of the stress that usually arises from bending while charging. It's very inexpensive and provides a lot of value in terms of longevity for all of your Ally's charging cables. If you like docking your Ally for more connectivity or other use cases, then you might want to check out this epic 12-in-1 docking station. It's got a super modern and clean aesthetic and comes in either black or a white color. All 12 ports are located all around the sides of the device, except for the front side, which contains the hidden stand, which can be ejected by pushing on the front there. I'm a huge fan of this feature since it allows the docking station to be used with other devices without the stand being a nuisance. This also makes it more compact in comparison to others I've used in the past with stands that you cannot tuck away. As for ports, most of them are located on the back. There's an HDMI 2.1 and a DisplayPort 1.4 port that both support 4K outputs at up to 120 Hz. There's two USB 3.2 Type A and one USB 3.2 Type C ports, as well as a 100-watt PD USB Type C port. On the right side, there's just a gigabit Ethernet port, and on the left side, there's a USB 2.0 Type A and a 3.5mm audio jack. Lastly, on the top, there's a TF and an SD card slot, but keep in mind that both of these cannot be used together simultaneously. To use this dock effectively with the Ally and other devices plugged right into it, you will need a power adapter with a minimum of 100-watt power delivery through a single port. This means that the 65-watt adapter from earlier will not be enough to use with this dock, but the 140-watt power adapter pairs with it easily. With a dock like this one with so many ports on it, the possibilities for connecting external devices are endless. It essentially allows you to turn your Ally into a full-fledged desktop PC setup, which can be used for other things other than gaming. One of the coolest things about this dock is that there's an RGB strip at the base of it, which is fully customizable through a software called OpenRGB. I haven't really tried this out yet, but feel free to try it out if you care that much about changing the RGB color. Overall, I feel like it adds a bit of a nice touch to the docking station that a lot of others are missing. On the other hand, if you don't care for RGB lighting at all, then you can always just turn it off by long pressing the button on top of the device. The Ally has a touch screen, which is great for doing most things on it, but sometimes you just want a keyboard. Now, since the Ally is supposed to be portable, you probably want a keyboard that's just as portable to use with it whenever the need arises. Now, keep in mind that it isn't just a keyboard, but also has a touchpad built right into it. I bought this one off Amazon, and it's also got a foldable design, which makes it very portable. It's super thin and light as well, which may not be the best for durability, but it seems to have held up fine for me for as long as I've had it, and that's been for about 5 months now. It connects through Bluetooth, which makes it widely compatible with tons of devices, including the Ally. The setup process is as easy as connecting any other Bluetooth device to the Ally, but this can be synced up to 3 devices all at the same time. You'll have to use the buttons above the touchpad to quickly switch between multiple connected devices. This could easily be a solid addition for anyone who uses the Ally as a desktop PC or in dock mode a lot. It may not be the most ergonomic keyboard or touchpad to use, but it works very well for its use case. The next accessories here are great ways to boost storage on the Ally, especially since the maximum size you can pick it up in is only 512 gigabytes. Now, there's a few options out there for adding storage to the Ally, but my favorite ways to do it is by either installing a 2230 M.2 SSD or by using an external SSD. By now, most of you probably already know about the SD card issues a lot of people experience on their Ally. Even mine, which I've never used before, didn't work the first time I tried to use it, and it still doesn't even now. With an M.2 SSD, you'll have to do a small amount of DIY work, which will involve opening up the back of the Ally to replace the default SSD. You can get a third-party M.2 SSD in sizes up to 2 terabytes, which is plenty more than the maximum the Ally comes with. The installation process for the 2230 SSD is very quick and easy, and honestly, anybody can do it. But if you're not looking to do this, you can always use my second preferred method for adding storage space, which is through an external drive. External SSD drives usually come in different forms and sizes. You can always get a portable SSD like this 4 terabyte one from SanDisk, which is fast enough to run games directly off of it, or you can pick up an SSD enclosure, install a 2230 or 2280 SSD into it, and then use that instead. For the Ally, you can always use one with it by connecting through its single USB-C port or through a docking station that you have it set up on. The Rokid Max is the next accessory on my list, and this is one of my favorite travel accessories to use with the Ally. Some of you may already know what this is and how it works, but for those that do not know, it's essentially a massive 130-inch private display which can easily fit into your pocket or any bag. It works so well when used during travel since most times you're sitting for hours on a plane or even in a vehicle. You can always play with the smaller display on the Ally, but with this, the experience is on a whole different level of immersion. The design it uses is very simple and compact since it's inspired by regular sunglasses. They are AR glasses though, so they can be used to project an overlay of the Ally onto the real world. In order to create a more private session, you can also use the provided light shield, which also improves visuals since light is blocked out with only a little bit sneaking in through the side. As for on-device controls, there's power and volume buttons located on the temples and 2 diopter knobs on top of each lens for correcting the visuals for different eyesights. There's also 2 built-in speakers on the temples as well. And lastly, you'll find a single USB-C port on the edge of the left temple, which is how the glasses connect to any device at all. Some important display specs of the Rokid Max to note is that it's got a maximum refresh rate of 120 Hz and resolution of 1080p. These are identical to the maximum refresh rate and resolution of the Ally, which is great since the performance remains the same across both devices. The glasses use micro OLED technology, which means the color and the vibrancy that you get when using them will be more intense and vibrant than what you get on the 7-inch display. Overall, it's been a great addition to my accessory kit, and I'm sure it will be for somebody else's as well, as long as you can stomach the cost for it. As an added bonus, you can also use it with your cell phone and any other device as long as they have a USB-C port that allows data transfer or an adapter to help with that connection. If you find that AR glasses just aren't your thing, or if you just want some other way to project your Ally's display onto a larger display, then you might like the next accessories here. Portable monitors are solid ways to expand the screen size of the Ally, either for gaming or any other use cases. They work so well together when the right one is paired with the Ally. There's a lot of options out there right now, but I like to make sure that I get one with a maximum resolution that aligns with the Ally's. This means that I wouldn't have to push the Ally any harder than usual when connected to this external display. What I use currently is the G1 from an Amazon brand, which has worked great for me so far. It has a 16-inch screen with a maximum resolution of 1080p and a refresh rate of 144 Hz, which honestly is only a little bit more than the Ally's. It's thin, it's lightweight, and also comes with a case that can be transformed into a kickstand. Now, if you're willing to spend a bit more, then you can also check out the Usteam G16, which has a built-in battery, meaning it can be used directly with the Ally without having it plugged in, and it won't take from the Ally's battery. It has a 15.6-inch display with a maximum of 1080p and 120 Hz. Both monitors are missing FreeSync and G-Sync technologies, but I haven't noticed not having them during gameplay or any use case at all. Now, if you really want a monitor with FreeSync, then you can check out this 17.3-inch bad boy. It does have a higher maximum resolution of 1440p and a higher refresh rate of 144 Hz, but you don't need to use the Ally at those settings when using it. It also costs about the same as the model with the built-in battery, but that feature is missing on this guy. Whichever one you decide to go for, you honestly can't really go wrong. Just make sure all the things you want in a portable gaming monitor is what you're getting with your choice. If you happen to use your Ally in docked mode a lot, then getting a wireless controller is almost a no-brainer. You might even already have one laying around that you can already use with it. The Ally uses Bluetooth connection, which is how you can connect any Bluetooth controller to it. For me, my preference is the DualSense controller since I'm most familiar with that layout, but you can also use Xbox controllers or honestly any random controller as long as it has Bluetooth. Keep in mind though that Bluetooth tends to introduce latency, so you might experience delays in response to buttons being pressed, which is usually more noticeable in FPS or car racing games. Speaking of external Bluetooth devices, the speakers on the Ally aren't too bad, but if you want better sound in audio or private listening, then you might want to get some earbuds, or like the controller, you might already have something that works just laying around. Keep in mind that using Bluetooth here also tends to introduce some latency, which means audio coming through the earbuds might sound a bit delayed. To avoid that, you can always use wired headphones, which in my opinion takes a lot away from the portability of the Ally, but that's definitely a great option if the latency is unbearable for you. For me, I use my AirPods Pro, which tend to work really well for all of my devices, including the Ally. So you can always use that, or you can go ahead and pick up something like the Soundcore Liberty 4s, or anything else that you've got around, like I said. The next accessory here is a screen protector. A lot of people have different opinions about this one and how it affects the display quality of a device when stuck to it. For me, I no longer like having screen protectors on my gaming devices since they seem to take a bit away from the display quality or just in general mess with the original colors or the brightness level of the device. If you do want one for your Ally, this one from JSaw is made from tempered glass and works really well at providing a nice layer of protection for your Ally's display. It also comes with a plastic guide and everything you're going to need to get a perfect installation done. They also come as a set of 2 in case you somehow mess up the installation the first go around. The next accessory here is something I've grown to realize I need close by whenever I'm using my Ally. If you have one, you already know by now that the screen needs consistent cleaning to avoid looking a mess with all those fingerprints plastered all over it. I like to keep a small microfiber cloth around for keeping the screen clean whenever I'm done using the Ally. This might not matter to some of you guys out there, but to me, I like having a clean display whenever I take it out, and it takes seconds to get it done every time. For this item, there's a ton of options out there, and also a strong chance you have something with microfiber material already laying around. This carrying bag from TomTalk was perfect for use with my Steam Deck, and now it's perfect for use with my Ally. It's very spacious with multiple pockets and compartments on the inside for storing the Ally safely and holding a decent amount of accessories. There's a compartment on the inside which has been designed to hold a handheld device with a soft foam material on one side for the Ally screen and a strap for securing it to prevent it from moving around during commute. On the opposite side of that, there's a large open space and a mesh pocket with a zipper which can be used to store accessories and cables. There's one more pocket on the outside of the bag as well, which can come in really handy for quick storage of personal items like say a wallet or a phone. The bag can easily hold a good amount of accessories or just items in general, but I've never felt the need to pack it till it's full. Once loaded, it can easily be carried around in 2 different ways. First is using the top handle for hand carry, while the other is using a removable strap that can be attached for shoulder carry. On Amazon, it looks like there's an updated version of the bag out right now with a slightly different design, but I'm sure that's also going to work great for the Ally. That's everything on my list, at least at the moment. Let me know down in the comment section what some of your favorite accessories are to use with your Ally. As for product links for everything I mentioned throughout the video, you can find those down in the description below. Alright, that's all I've got for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed watching it as much as I enjoyed making it. Hopefully, I get to catch you in my next video. It's Tommy, and I'm out, y'all.